Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hutchinson City Council meeting for Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. We'll call the meeting to order. Approve the council agenda and any additions or corrections.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion by Pat, second by Dave to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Invocation from the Hunter Ridge Church. Good evening.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see all of you again too. Let's take a moment then to bow our heads together in prayer. Lord, thank you for this time together. We know that the Bible tells us that we're supposed to be praying for our government leaders, our city leaders, and so Lord, I just thank you for this opportunity to take a moment to do just that for each of these who are here this evening. Lord, I thank you for each of them. I pray that you'd give them much wisdom, give them much discernment on decisions that they need to make, not just tonight, but in many venues and many places, and for our city as a whole. Lord, I pray that you help them listen well. I pray that you'll help them serve with compassion, that they will be people that live with integrity. And I just thank you for them. I want to say thank you for our police, our fire department, our leaders there, the first responders. We're so grateful for all of them, Lord. And we just thank you for our city as a whole, the city of Hutchinson, a beautiful city. We pray for its peace. We pray for its stability. And Lord, I just want to say thank you because I just believe that you're in control of all things, no matter what is going on in our country or in our community. You are in control, and we just thank you for a God who knows the beginning from the end. So bless them tonight in all that they do, I pray. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Next, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
recognition of gifts, donation, and community service to the city. Does anyone have any? All right, we got a resolution underneath there. We got resolution number 15842, resolution accepting $3,000 donation from the Snow Pros, Crow River Snow Pros for expense towards the Snowcross event. And I had to go out there and do some work at the fairgrounds, and I talked to the guys out there, and they said they had a wonderful turnout.
I couldn't believe they were able to continue it.
Yeah, it was a good turnout, and said that they were very pleased with our facility and stuff. So
Cool.
Motion to approve resolution 15842.
Second.
motion by Pat, second by Dave to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Citizens addressing the council, just please come forward and state your name and address. That would be you, Brandon. Yeah. Good. Just introduce yourself and your address, please.
Yeah, my name is Brian Morales. My address is 329 North High Drive, Southwest. And yeah, I'm pretty new to this, so I don't know exactly what to do. So yeah, that's my name.
He's the manager at the.
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, of course. I'm one of the managers over here at Les Schwab Tires. Pretty new to the area. Myself, I'm very new to this area as well, and I'm looking just to kind of get more involved with the community. I don't know if you guys know too much about Les Schwab, but we're very excited to be here. Yeah, we have the new building that's right there by the Menards, and we do a lot to give back to every community that we do come into. And you know, as a company, we're very excited to be here. So any questions or anything, you know, we open up tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be our soft opening, and then on the 4th of April, it's going to be our grand opening. So we're going to have barbecue, free stuff for you guys. So yeah, I just wanted to come on down and kind of get more involved with the community.
Is it just tires or is it oil change, that type
Yeah,
of stuff?
so we do tires, oil changes, brakes, suspension work, alignment, pretty much every corner of the vehicle. We try to get as much done safety-wise to kind of make sure you guys are safe on the road.
Of course, he come up and came into the shop to introduce himself, so I said, why don't you come down?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely. That was
Glad
great. Yeah,
to have you into town.
awesome.
Yes, Uncle Dodge.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. Approval of minutes, we have approval of the regular meeting minutes of February 25th, 2025.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Dave to approve as presented. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Consent agenda will be done with one motion unless somebody pulls something off for discussion. A is approval of child care economic development grant agreement. B is approval of river home replacement. C is approval of airport grading project. D is approval of items for the 2025 street improvements, project letting number 2, project number 25-02. And there's two resolutions underneath there. We have resolution number 15840, resolution declaring costs to be assessed and ordering preparation of proposed assessments, and resolution number 15841, resolution for hearing on proposed assessments. E is approval of resolution number 15845, resolution of disposal of surplus police department property. F is approval of issuing massage license Sheila Kidwell of Illumination Massage LLC, located at 720 Century Avenue Southwest, Suite 212. And G is claims appropriation and contract payments. Does anybody have anything?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Dave to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both say nay. Motion carries. We do have a public hearing, but what we're going to do is move down to the Hutchinson Fire Department year-end report. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. There we go, let's try that again. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Give me just a second, I had it all ready to go.
What happens when you're in a hurry?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry. It timed out, we waited too long.
It's only 24.
Nice. Okay, I'll be running through the 2024 annual report that was sent out in your guys' council packets, and then there's hard copies in front of you there as well. I'm going to kind of zip through it. If you've got questions or comments as I flip through it or at the end, please just stop me anytime and we'll try to answer them. So starting out, 2024 was our 140th year. So we had a little bit of celebration there at our open house and recognizing that. Next page is just kind of our summary to the community. This is for the council. This is for all the townships that we serve as well. A couple of the high points on there is staffing levels. We were sitting good yet in 2024. Normally we do a hiring every other year just because of retirements or people that maybe they had a job change, life change or whatever, and they had to step down. We've been sitting good at staffing level, so we did not do a hiring in 2024, which is the first time in that 2-year rotation that we haven't had to do that in over a decade. So, but we will be doing one here in 2025 in preparation for some retirements that we know are coming. I just want to recognize on the next page here, one of our retired firefighters that passed away, Marlon Torgerson. He's served for 20 years on the fire department, also a member of the council and mayor as well. So he's got deep ties to everybody in this room. And then retirement, Justin Wetland, he reached his 20 years and retired as well. Special events, I just want to highlight real quick our open house again every year. It's bigger and bigger, and we had a real good weather, real good turnout again. Usually we get in that neighborhood of 600 people, give or take. So again, we had a good event again. We have a partnership with the fairgrounds with all the events for the fair at the grandstand. We continue doing that as usual. A bunch of other items on there. I would like to touch on just being involved with the Vietnam Memorial Wall when that came through town. That was a unique experience, and we were glad to be part of helping that get to town. Next page, accomplishments. Just want to touch on a new apparatus that's pictured there. That is our off-road rescue / grass rig. So that's a Polaris Ranger with tracks on it. That replaced a 15-year-old six-wheeler that we had. It doesn't show it in the picture there, but this one has the capability of it's got some bracketry that holds a backboard on there. So if we have a snowmobile ATV incident, we can package a person on a backboard and slide them into the ATV and then take them from the field or trail or wherever they're at up to the ambulance. So we put that into service in the spring of last year of 24, right before the spring grass fire season. That was a partnership. That's a vehicle owned half by the city, half by the rural. And we had also received a $5,000 grant from the DNR for that vehicle as well. We completed several facility items. We used some of the public safety funding that was available just to police and fire. Did some major HVAC work, a new roof, and some other capital improvement type items at the station. Just a couple of other accomplishments to touch on. We completed the upgrade, again using some of that public safety money, to the all of our auto extrication equipment that we use on motor vehicle accidents. We had kind of waited until the technology and the tools had been out for a few years, so they got all the bugs worked out, and we've switched over both of our vehicles that carry those tools to the newer battery operated equipment, which is incredibly, it's such a huge improvement. It's unbelievable how fast they are now, and how you don't have any hoses, you don't have to drag equipment around. They're fantastic. So that was a huge upgrade. And then we submitted and received a grant for a $4,000 grant from the Minnesota Board of Fire Training and Education to host a regional training, fire training at our training site that'll happen in May of this year. That'll be open to all the neighboring fire departments, multi-county. We're hoping to get about 100 firefighters here for that event. So,
is it free for them to attend, or?
It won't be free. It's going to be about $40 per firefighter. It's going to be it's a one-day event. We're trying to hit what we perceive as kind of a problem for especially rural departments to get training at good training at a valued price, because of the state schools, regional schools, that all involves travel, overnight stay, and that just ratchets up your cost so much per firefighter. And this will allow them, we'll have one full day of training. We have 2 certified instructor companies that are coming in to put on the training. So it'll be high-end level training. They'll get certification credits. It'll be really good. So this will be a kickoff to that. If it goes well, we hope to maybe try to continue doing that in the future.
Mike, was that old extraction equipment? Was that air powered or how?
It was hydraulic, but it was driven by a gas powered, basically like a generator. So gas powered, hydraulic powered unit, and then hoses that hook up to the tools. So now it's all just portable. One tool. Each person comes up with a tool, and boom, they get it taken care of. So operational data. We finished the year calls just slightly ahead of last year. Excuse me, of the previous year. So total calls of 522. 329 of them are in the city, 193 in the rural. And then you can kind of see the breakdown. 47 of those calls were fire in nature, meaning something was burning. Could have been a car, grass fire, dumpster fire, house fire, etc. There's a little bit of a breakdown of that up there. Medicals, that number keeps ticking upward. We had 227 medicals last year. Firefighter injuries, our own firefighters, we had 2 that were injured, not seriously, but injured enough where there was a reportable injury that they needed minor medical attention, no loss of work or no loss of time. No fire fatalities. Our response time stays pretty flat. And then at the bottom there, our officer only call program, we had 128 of those 522 calls that were handled by one officer in a SUV, and usually that's quantified in those calls that are non-emergent in nature. So it may be a CO detector that's going or beeping, or a smoke detector that's going off, but there's no fire, or a hot electrical smell, or a weird smell, or pick a item. But so we send just that one officer to those events, and that, more importantly, it saves some money, yes, but it keeps our other firefighters at work, at home, and not having to respond. The next page is just a bar graph that kind of indicates that same data to give you a little bit of a visual perspective. You can kind of see on the middle one there that all the way to the right, the high bar, that's the medical calls. So you can kind of see how they're ticking upward. And this page is interesting. This is new data that we were able to get this year for the first time from our one of our software programs that shows time of day and day of week of when the calls happen. And this is kind of interesting because I always ask the question when we do fire prevention. We say, what are the top 3 causes of fires in the United States every year, year after year after year? And it's everybody, says smoking and lightning and unattended campfires, etc. The answer is yes, it's men, women, and children, except the lightning part, obviously. But the human factor, and this kind of shows that when people are awake, up and moving around, doing stuff, that's when we get calls. We don't get a lot of calls at midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, but you can see where it starts to turn red there. That's when the call volume spikes, and it's about 7:30 in the morning till about 8 to 10 p.m. and then it tapers off. And then on the bottom there is the call by townships and entities. So again, the city of Hutchinson had 329 of those calls, and then the rural breakdown is by township, as you can see there.
Chief, as long as you got this up, talk about the duty crews that you have in the summertime.
So in the summer between Memorial Day and Labor Day, we do a weekend duty crew, and the way we've structured that, we've tried to use this data. We've never had it available in this good of a format, so now we are actually going to tweak our hours just a little bit because of this. But we have a duty crew on Friday night from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and then on Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And looking at this, I can see right here, if I look on Saturdays, we're starting at 2 p.m. and I would say that it's been frequent that we've had calls an hour or 2 before they were supposed to start. And I'm looking at the data here, I think we need to start at noon instead of 2 p.m. So again, we're trying to use some of this analytics to help us a little bit.
Yeah, the duty crew consists of?
So it's three firefighters and an on-call officer. So they are able to respond to the majority of calls on their own without having to page out the rest of the department. So again, that's another component we're using to try to keep the firefighters that aren't, if they're at work or with their family or out of town, unavailable. So we don't have to have everybody coming down all the time for all the calls. All right, and then this is kind of a big picture summary of some of the data. Property value save, estimated property value save. So this, to kind of put that in something you can understand, if we have a house fire or a garage fire, a car on fire in a garage, and we get there and extinguish it and contain it to the garage and the property in it would be the property lost. The house attached would be the property saved. So that's how we factor those or calculate those numbers. That number changes tremendously year after year. But for 2024, it was $5,595,000 worth of property saved. The property value lost was just over $1 million, $1,032,000. Probably the most important number up here is lives saved. These are people, 5 people that we were doing CPR on, using an AED on, or taking extreme measures to get them out of what would have been a life-ending situation. So that number's 5. Emergency call hours, so this is labor hours. Of the city calls, we had just over 2,500 labor hours. In the rural, 2,700. And then training hours, 2,400 labor hours, and 52 different training events. And then public relations, we had 44 events, 700 hours, 14 fire safety education events, and 1,600 students. And again, those students are anywhere from kids at elementary school to, we try to get out to the assisted living facilities and anybody that calls us and asks for a fire prevention class. Goals for 25, I'm gonna just touch on a couple of them. Probably the biggest thing is we just completed the ISO audit, which is a once every 8 to 10 year snapshot of your entire operation, and that's equipment, staff, training, water infrastructure, inspections, et cetera, et cetera. So that was a pretty in-depth survey. We'll be getting the results here actually sometime this month, I believe. Last time, 10 years ago when we did it, we bumped into the next class in a good way, the next better class by like less than 1 percentage point. So we're going to be teetering on that again. So we'll see how we come out.
And the ISO kind of goes hand in hand what your insurance costs are, right, Mike?
Correct. It's the Insurance Services Office, so that some insurance companies use their own measurements, and the ISO is just a formula that some insurance companies use. So it's not like, if you talk to an insurance person, some would say they use it, and the next one might say they don't use it. But for us, at least, it gives a good benchmark of kind of where we're at as an entity. I already touched on the hiring that we're going to do and the training event. The new position, which is a firefighter/inspector, we've done 2 rounds of interviews. We'll be hiring that person here by the end of the month. And then they will help with inspections, fire or public education, fire safety classes, firefighting duties. It's going to be kind of a multi-headed job description. So I think that's it on that. Any questions on any of those? All right, and we'll jump past that. Equipment and maintenance. This is just kind of a snapshot of last year as far as vehicle maintenance costs, and then the upcoming equipment, looking at replacement years. We used to have the estimated replacement costs on here, and with the costs of fire trucks and just the volatility of that, we used to be very accurate in measuring that. Now I don't even want to put it on there because it's so unknown when we're looking out 5, 10, 15 years. So we've removed that, and we have that information in our CIP when we go over the CIP, especially when we get equipment that's coming that's coming closer to replacement, then we can have those specific costs on that apparatus. But like I said, the numbers have gotten so just all over the board that we can't. I don't want to put them in ink because I don't know how accurate they are. And that is the last.
You afraid we're gonna hold you to it?
Well, maybe. All right, that is all I have. I don't know if that was concise enough. Hopefully, I had direction from somebody sitting up there to be concise. So.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names. Any last questions or comments on anything?
Anything else for Mike?
Mike, is that, so the new, you were mentioning due to retirement that there's gonna be a hiring. The new person, that's not just a regular firefighter, I take it by the way you said it's an inspector, will have more duties than just say.
Multi-duties, yes. All right, and I will note too that it's, with the weather as dry as it's been and obviously no snow cover, we anticipate a spring like last year where we've already had burning restrictions in place on and off because of wind and humidity. So I think this spring is going to be the same. There's going to be we're expecting a higher wildfire count for this year. So we'll see how it goes. We are going to be doing some prescribed burns potentially this week with the Parks Department on some of the prairie land around town here. We're kind of just looking at the weather day by day and going with it when we can. So, all right, that is all I have. Thank you for your support and thanks for listening.
All right, thanks, Mike. We got a few minutes yet, Mike, so the other Mike.
Give me a second to log on.
Yeah, you can power up and I'll take care of some other stuff here. Gonna go down to minutes reports from committees, boards, or commissions. We have the Hutchinson Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board minutes from November 19th, 2024 and from January 21st, 2025. And we have the Public Library Board minutes from November 25th, 2024. Public hearing, so assessment hearings and project award for Dale Street Southwest project, letting number 1, project number 25-01. And we have a resolution underneath there, resolution number 15843, resolution accepting bids and awarding contracts, and resolution number 15844. Resolution adopting assessments. So,
Just about ready here. Again, this will serve as an update to the hearing we had a few months ago at this point. And I believe we have maybe a few residents with us tonight too that may have questions, so we'll have time for that also. Got some information pertaining specifically to the hearing too that may be of help, some general numbers, so. All right, well, Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you again this evening. Just wanted to give an update on our Dale Street project. Happy to report that it came in about 20% below our estimate. So we had really good numbers and very happy with the results of that. So as we go through tonight, we'll cover that a little bit further. Again, just a quick overview of the project itself. Generally a reclaim, full depth reclaim. Next slide again for maybe those in attendance, we'll cover it, but kind of a full resurface. We'll go down to the depth to basically rework the subgrade itself and mitigate that as needed. And then a lot of spot utility work. This was a project, really it's been in concept for a number of years. And at one time, the thought was a narrowing of a full recon, which would have added about $1 million and a half to the project. And we changed it to really more of a reclaim itself, which is kind of a good mid-level. It'll really clean up the street surface, buy us a lot of time with it. And at the same time, we televised all the services that we could do and we're gonna do a lot of spot repair of those. So a good responsible way to proceed, but a very cost-effective one in the process. Again, just a quick, probably more of what you can expect to see when we do this. Now, this project will not kick off until after school, just because of school bus traffic through Dale. It'll no doubt have some impact after it. But the good thing with the reclaim project is it's about a day, 2-day process to get the old surface off, and then it'll be a gravel road for a while until the resurfacing is done. At the same time, we'll do a lot of that spot utility work and repair, a little bit of curb, a little bit of gutter and things like that that's needed. And again, if there are any specific questions on that tonight, it's quite possible I'm not going to have the detail on it, but I can leave you a card and we can get that information to you as how it may pertain to your specific property. But this is generally, again, kind of what you're going to see. The good thing is, too, we can turn around and hopefully finish this project up over the course of the summer. Full intent to have it done before the school year, but the goal is to have it done even prior to that as we move into August. Again, a little bit more specific. Again, a reclaim of the existing roadway. Big difference between the top bullet point and the bottom bullet point. The layers that come back are basically the same in terms of the thickness, but you see at the bottom slide, fabric and geogrid. It's one of those that just provides a lot of stability to the road surface. And while not there now, it will be added back. And so with the existing materials, mitigation of that subgrade, and then the addition of that fabric and geogrid, it really should give us a long-lasting road. Certainly portions of it too are being built to truck traffic because of its location. So should be a good durable road surface for the foreseeable future. And then as noted, a lot of spot repair on our water main, sanitary and storm, curb and gutter, cleaning up a couple of pedestrian ramps, bringing them into compliance, and then adding a pedestrian flasher at Linden, largely as much kind of guided by our Safe Routes to School program, and then reworking those turn lanes at Dale and South Grade Road. Again, at one time that was thought to be a roundabout. That is not the case here, but we are going to do a little bit of work to clean that up and add a turn lane going west on South Grade. On Dale, that would allow for a turn onto South Grade. Assessments overview. Wanted to give just kind of a breakdown that's specific to Dale itself. 47 lots. Average assessment is $4,671. Our total assessment of $219,528. If approved tonight, once approved, residents can begin making payment really as early as tomorrow and can continue to do so until November 15th. Our final assessment information will be sent to residents on or around October 15th. Again, they'll have then that month until November 15th, with then the magic of November 15th, which really this year, because that falls on a weekend, is the 17th. It goes to the county and then to the tax roll itself. And then you can pay it over the course then of those 10 years plus interest. And the interest rate I put in approximate, it's hovered around that 4% in any given year. We'll confirm that with the fall mailing, but right now it's anticipated to be right around that 4%. But there is always a little bit of variability, a little more, a little less in any given year. And then again, finally, our numbers, project numbers themselves, again, that construction line was closer to 1.9 million when last presented, so it is about a $400,000 reduction. Our engineering consulting costs, engineering in particular, adjusted accordingly, so an overall project cost of 1.865,662. Biggest thing is it saves on our bonding. That's a variable cost, whereas a lot of our others are kind of fixed costs, including the assessments. And because this is a state aid road, the great majority of this project is covered with state aid dollars. So really we'll save on any bonding we were having to do. There was a bit of money previously that would have been bonding, in this case state aid, our assessment amounts, and then our 3 utilities that pay their proportion or their fair share based on the work being done to each of those utilities, pay the balance. So that is the nature of our project this evening. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
You have any questions for Mike before we open it up for public comment?
I don't.
All right, we'll open it up for public comment. Just please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
name is Percy Anderson. I live in 861 Dale Street. And my question is, I want to make sure this time when the road gets worked, that is the center line of the road going to stay where it is now, or is it going to move to the east like it was last time?
Good question. I will verify that, Percy. I will get your number, but I am pretty sure it stays in place. It previously might have moved because we had talked about narrowing the road to add a wider trail section. That's not happening with this project, so I don't believe it's moving. But let me verify that, but I don't believe it is.
Well, yeah, this one, when it was before, your thing on narrowing the road was when it was first put curb and gutter in. And then I come to the meeting, stated that, you know, I knew the curb and gutter was coming in, there was no problem there, but want to make sure the center of the road stays where it is, and however wide you made it, that was fine. But when I come home one day, everything was up in my yard, and it got moved at least, maybe 12 to 16 feet closer to my house. And I just want to make darn sure it doesn't happen again. I question it, and meeting, they said they were not going to change it. But when I went down after I seen the construction going on, I went down there and talked to them, and they kind of, you know, hesitated about it, but they were going to check the minutes. All of a sudden, the minutes couldn't be found. And then the reason was stated that there was, where Linden Avenue comes into Dale, there was going to be too sharp of a curve there. That didn't make sense to me, but that's what I was told.
Okay. Yeah, at this point, really, our curb gutter, everything stays as is. None of that changes, other than, again, the spot repair. There's no change to the street width, and I'm not aware of that center line changing at all. But again, in case in point, let me just make sure there's not a particular point. I don't believe, though, it changes any place along the line. So I'll leave you a card at the end of the meeting, and then please plan to give me a call, and I'll verify in the morning. So.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Percy. Any other comment? Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion, go ahead. Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Pat to close the public hearing. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both say nay. Motion carries. Motion to approve both resolutions.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Pat, second by Dave to approve both resolutions. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you. I will mention to residents that did come tonight, if there are questions after the meeting, I'd be more than happy to answer those or clarify too, so.
Or do you want to meet them out in the
Yeah,
foyer now?
I can do that. We have a closed session tonight
Yeah,
too, so
yeah.
I'll be back for it, but happy to
Yeah.
take some
Why
time,
don't you
so.
do that, Mike? Thanks. Chief Gifferson. We have the Hutchinson Police Department year-end report. I don't know, Pat.
I don't
Must
either.
be the,
I don't have an answer.
yeah, me either.
I suppose I just typed my password up there for everybody to see. Try it again.
How do you remember the username? 4 pages long.
Yeah. Try it that time.
Just use password.
I never get a nice flower like that when I punch in. 8.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm here tonight to present
a summary of our 2024 year-end report. I always struggle every year when I do this, trying to determine what you think is valuable information or what would be useful. So I will present this with the caveat, if you have something in the future that you want addressed, please notify me, and we'll make sure it gets in there next year. But if there's some statistics or something that you feel is missing this year, please get a hold of me and I'll make sure I grab those for you. So what I've done is basically summarized our year-end report with some of the statistics, facts that I find are maybe a little bit more useful or more informative than others. So let's get going here. So our staff, when we ended 2024, our staff level was at 31 employees, which is a significant decrease from 2023, due mostly in part to our dissolution of the hospital security program at Hutch Health. But we do have at the end of 2024, we had 23 full-time employees, of which is our number of licensed officers that we've been approved for. Support professionals, 5 full-time, and those are mostly records, either entry or dissemination professionals, but also our investigation assistant. And then our community service officers, we have 1 full-time, and then at the end of 2024, we had 2 part-time. And those 2 part-timers were, they had come over from the hospital security program. Our fleet consists of 8 MARC squad cars, 4 administrative squad cars, so investigations or that type of thing. We have 3 special use vehicles that we use mostly for the tactical team, but also for emergency services. One of those is our armored rescue vehicle that you approved earlier in 2024, and that is now up and ready for service, and then 1 utility trailer. Calls for service. 2024 calls for service, 11,651. If you recall from last year, we're a little bit over 15,000 calls for service. So that marks roughly a 23% decrease in calls. I think it's a little deceiving, however, because I don't know, I think we're as busy as we've ever been, especially, during the daytime hours. But I think we can credit most of that decrease just more to records entry. The old saying, data is only as good as the entry, and I think that's it in this case. Our calls for service have steadily been decreasing since McLeod County has taken over our dispatch services, and it's just a different way of doing things. For example, our officers, every time they would go check out on a follow-up or something, that should be a new incident according to our record system. McLeod County doesn't do it that way, so they just attach them to a previous call, which then essentially negates that. So that's something that we have to correct for 2025. So I anticipate seeing a significant increase in those calls for service, or at least recorded calls for service next year. Our busiest time frame is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., just like Chief Schumann was talking about. Most of our calls occur during the time people are awake. Our duration, however, is probably a little later, because a lot of times the people that we're dealing with, when most people are in bed, are when they are out. So, but our busiest month is May, but the time frame, summer time frame, is always busier. And then Friday being our busiest day of the week. Crime statistics, NIBRS, I have explained this last year, but it's just a new way that the FBI gathers data nationally. There are 2 groups. Group A, which has 24 crime categories, and in 2024 we had 468 of those crimes with 168 arrests. And then in Group B, we just had 121 arrests, because that's the only piece of data that they capture in NIBRS is arrests for Group Bs. Our most frequent crimes, and continues to be year after year, damage to property, thefts, assaults, and then drug control or controlled substance offenses. Again, drug and the controlled substance offenses, there's a direct correlation between them and the other three that I have listed here. So if we could ever get rid of the fourth one on the list, that would help us in the other three significantly. So again, for arrests, we had 383 total arrests in 2024, and then 289 of those are Group A and B arrests. So the rest of those would be like arrest warrants, where they have committed a crime, they've been charged, either failed to appear in court or something like that. So we don't capture that statistic twice for the same crime, if that makes sense. Our patrol division issued 549 citations last year with 1,215 verbal warnings. Both those numbers are down, and it's my intention in 2025 to increase both those numbers with some certain initiatives that we have coming up here in the spring and summer. Vehicle crashes are at 172, and of those, 13 were personal injury crashes. As you all know, we have a school or an officer that's assigned to the school as a school resource officer. And that officer alone takes 231 calls at each one of the combined at all the schools in town, all public schools. 110 high school, 56 middle school, 25 park, 30 Tiger, and then 10 West. Our school district is just a microcosm of the rest of the community. And so the types of crimes or types of calls that our school resource officer is taking are pretty much the same kind of calls that were the damage to property, the thefts, and then instead of traffic crashes, parking lot crashes. But so that's for the most part. And then the other part of her duties is really just being that mentor to the other to students at the schools. Child protection. We do child protection in 2024 a little differently than we have in the past. We used to have one officer assigned to child protection and one assigned to general investigations. We've changed that now, where both of our investigators are taking child protection calls. But in 2024, we had 335 intakes, which basically means either social services notified us of somebody reporting suspected abuse, or it's something that we initiated. But 335 intakes, majority of those are for abuse, either neglect or physical. Our drug task force, we belong to the Southwest Metro Drug Task Force. We have one agent that's assigned to the task force. Big major change in task force procedures is the legalization of cannabis in Minnesota. So obviously a lot less marijuana or cannabis being seized and investigated, but the most common drugs that are investigated through the task force, methamphetamine, opiates, and then ecstasy or MDMA. When we look at opiates, probably the most lethal one of the three, and that includes fentanyl, which if you can't turn on the TV now without hearing about a fentanyl overdose or what the government is doing to try to curb that. So, but it also is any kind of medications or heroin, any of that type of drug is included in that as well. In 2024, there were 25 task force investigations within the city of Hutchinson, and then a total of 46 in the county of McLeod.
Chief, how far the task force, what county, that's multi-county, right?
Yep, it's 3 counties, Scott, Carver, and McLeod. And then, so those are the 3 counties that are involved. Each one of the counties has an agent on the task force, and then Hutchinson, Shakopee also have an agent on the task force. And then there is a commander that's assigned, and currently there is Shakopee sergeant that's assigned to the task force. This, or in 2024, actually Shakopee rather than Hutchinson had the most investigations in the task force, which is I guess a good thing. We are blessed, however, I think that for the size of our population, we have pretty good coverage and pretty good representation on the task force, and that to me is just an indicator of that we take it seriously, and you as a council take it seriously. So I thank you for that. Our Citizens Police Academy, I talked about this one of the last council meetings. We reintroduced it in 2022. Our 2024 class was postponed till early 2025, and we just recently graduated that class. There were, I think, 10 graduates. We would like to see that number at least double for later this year, but we'll see how that goes.
Who's that open to, Tom?
Anybody that has an interest, and they all have to be screened. Obviously, we don't want somebody with continuing negative contacts with the police department to be sitting in the class, but most anybody that applies would be eligible.
Like even someone as old as I am?
Even somebody, and I would invite you to come in. You might actually learn a couple of things about us.
That I've done wrong.
So for our 2024 goals were explore and implement virtual training platform for the PD. We did that. We haven't implemented it yet, however, because the technology just wasn't quite where we wanted it to be to spend that kind of money on it. But we are looking to implement that this year, so that 2024 goal carried over to 2025, and I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get it implemented this year. We trained our staff, or our goal was to train the staff in crisis intervention training, and so with our response to people in crisis ever increasing, makes sense to better train our officers in that response. It's a 40-hour class that every single one of our officers now have been through. Will be a part of our field training in the future. But with the emphasis from the state legislature, and this is one of those that we used the public safety money for last year. So yeah, we got everybody through that. And then we were going to research the need for additional supervision at the patrol level within the police department. We also did that, and that's kind of morphed into something maybe a little bit different. Rather than adding a patrol sergeant in the future, we look more at a crime analyst, part-time crime analyst, IT person, something that we could share with maybe the IT department here at City Center, or even a crime analyst that would work part of the year for us, part of the year for McLeod or something like that, some kind of sharing, because I don't think we have enough for a full-time person, but we certainly have enough for that part-time person. And then lastly, our last goal for 2024 was to implement the city's emergency operations plan, and then follow up with initial online training and hopefully a tabletop exercise. We didn't quite get there. We got the plan implemented with all your diligent help and reading, but we're still waiting for all of the staff to complete the online training, and then once that occurs, we'll have a tabletop exercise hopefully sometime yet this year. And then just other accomplishments from 2024. We implemented a peer support program, which is part of our officer wellness initiative. So it just allows off the record officer to go talk to another officer about anything they might be experiencing, and just get advice more than anything, or maybe some kind of referral to some program. They don't have to, and it's completely off the record. We also, and that's something that we implemented with every other agency in the county. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your partner that you're talking to. It can be some other officer, another agency, and who may have experienced something very similar. Again, I talked about this earlier, but obtain the armored rescue vehicle and train personnel on its safe operation. Very little cost to the city. Again, it's about a $700,000 rig, and we got it for $0 other than a minimal repair. We completed upgrades to our body-worn cameras and our squad cameras. And then I also mentioned the department-wide crisis intervention team training. Any questions?
I had one the other day, and it doesn't pertain to this.
Yep.
In the current state of our world right now, we have laws coming down from the federal government, from the state government, where states and federal are arguing with each other. And then funding comes into, community funding comes into play on that. As a police officer, do we follow federal first, state, local? What order do you follow that?
Well,
That might not be the right way, but what has
I
precedent?
think I understand what you're asking. First and foremost, the people at the police department work for you, and then under your direction. So, that would be our first level of responsibility. But we're also sworn to uphold the laws of the state of Minnesota, the Minnesota Constitution, and the Constitution of the United States, and we'll do that.
Good, because that's the answer I gave the person, was our police officers follow the Constitution.
Well,
And there's an order, and my comment to them was, if there's an issue that comes up, I'm sure the city council will have to address that if chief has a question on that, so.
Yeah.
Anything else for Chief Giferson?
all right, thank you.
You got anything else for us as long as you're up there? Nothing tonight?
I don't.
Okay,
Thank you.
That's great. Mike, you have anything else for us tonight?
You had enough of me, and you'll have a little bit more of me before it's all done, so I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Mark, you got anything for us tonight?
Not tonight.
Alrighty. Tim, let's start with you.
Well, first, before Mike goes into his, thank you for the tree removal.
Was that the right ones?
Yes, we had requested a tree to be removed because it was blocking traffic, and I assumed it would be a couple weeks, and I drove by like the next morning and it was.
So you're right on it.
I thought it was to be trimmed up, but it went, the whole thing disappeared, which is good, because it was a safety issue. The library hasn't met this month yet, and the sustainability committee is still kind of on hold until we figure that out. So with that, pretty short report.
Alright. Dave, you got anything for us tonight?
Oh, I don't think I think it's important, but we know it from year to year. When the weather warms up, the people get out on the streets with their dogs and their kids and their bicycles and whatnot. Be aware that they're there, because they do most anything when they take a notion to do it. But it's just that awareness of the weather changing, and soon school will be out, and then we'll have more people on the streets. So a lot of people out walking.
Yep. Alrighty.
And motorcycles.
Motorcycles, yeah. Pat, what do you got for us?
EDA, we met, there's a lot of things going on, out at the EDA at the center, there is, kind of should be going in full swing now, is the new pretzel manufacturer that, we got to taste them, they're pretty darn good, and they should be, they're facilitating right now, getting it going, I don't know exactly when it'll be coming out. But, yeah, we didn't, well, I missed that EDA meeting actually, so but at any rate, a lot of things going on, with the downtown, and hopefully, again, in accordance with the EDA, the Mickey, townhomes, for lack of a better term, but I mean, they hope to get going on this spring, I think, and, you know, just a lot of positive things. Downtown, group is getting back together, I think, or
Yeah.
trying to, you know. to
Down
get back
association,
going. I think
yeah.
that's important. I think it was vibrant, and then like all things kind of run their course, and people, harder to get them involved, but it seems like there's new life being breathed breath into that, so I think that's a positive thing. That's it.
Thank you. Actually, kind of like, resource allocation hasn't met, and HRA and airport commission, so I really have nothing.